This is Randy Sullivan, the host of Bourbon Real Talk. I grew up in a small town and went to a small church where everyone looked and thought like me. Over the years, I've gotten to know and love people from all different walks of life. This has made my world bigger and richer. The secret ingredient in forming those relationships was getting to know people's real stories. That helped me to identify with them, have compassion on them, and eventually develop a real connection with them. We live in a disconnected world today, and I want to do everything in my power to build connections between individuals who may not have attempted friendship otherwise. I've observed this happening in the bourbon community on its own because whiskey naturally brings people together. Bourbon Real Talk hopes to combine the world's new passion for bourbon into an opportunity to bring people together. We will share some whiskey knowledge, some good drams, and some real talk. So sit back, pour a drink, and open your hearts and minds. You might just find yourself feeling more connected to the people in the world around you, all fueled by bourbon. So, just want to welcome everybody to Bourbon Real Talk. We have a very special guest today. Billy Phelps has joined us. I met Billy. He lives in my neighborhood, and also a member of our little whiskey club. Someone say whiskey, and has recently lost his mind for bourbon. But that's not the most interesting thing about Billy. You can see on his T-shirt there. He is, in fact, a fireman. So I thought it might be fun to have him on today and talk a little bit about what it's like to be a fireman. Today, we are going to do a live review of a whiskey that just hit the market in the Texas area. I know it didn't get released everywhere. I forget what all states it got released in. I want to say there were like 6 or 7. So limited release. And that's part of the reason why I think you're seeing some of the secondary pricing on this bottle is because there's places that wanted it that just didn't get it, but we got lucky. We got a good bit of it. So we're gonna be trying the Kentucky Owl Confiscation. Is that what it's called? Confiscated. Sorry. So have you tried this yet?
I have not tried it yet.
Okay, but I understand you did find one in the wild.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
I stood in line, found it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up. It was funny. I ended up with 2. My admin went to go buy some vodka, and while she was there, she was like, "Hey, do you want this bottle?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." Dang it! Kind of on a buy ban right now, but that didn't work so well. And then she said, "There's 2 of them, but it's limit 1." And then like 10 minutes later, my buddy texted me from the same store with a picture of that bottle. So I sent him a picture back of its brother sitting on my desk. And he said, "Should I get it?" And I was like, "If you don't want it, I'll take it. Go ahead and get 2." So we're going to open this up. I have not tried it yet. So for those of you who are not familiar with Kentucky Owl, they recently sold out to Stoli, that I think they're probably better known for vodka. And the interesting thing about that is that there's been a big infusion of capital. So they're releasing other bottles like this one is probably a result of that acquisition, but they're also building a theme park in Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
So it's been kind of a joke. People are like, "Seriously, like an actual theme park?" And they're like, "Yeah." So there's been like some architectural renditions that have been released, and it's been the talk of the town. But it looks like they may actually do it. And since the Kentucky Bourbon Trail has gotten so large, I think it wouldn't be a bad thing. There's going to be hotels integrated and entertainment and things like that.
Absolutely.
So yeah, pretty cool. So anyway, let's crack this bad boy open. So for those of you who are used to watching my my videos of live reviews, I do have the official bourbon pour knife here to help open this up. People like to make fun of me for this, but this little piece of foil right here, I keep my fingernails short and it will cut underneath my nail. And so I got in the habit of, plus, I got this knife from my grandfather when he passed away, and I don't get to use it.
There you go.
My kids freak out when I use it to cut my steak. I'm like, whatever. It's just a knife.
Just a knife.
What difference does it make? So anyway, so you think this one will make a good noise? Let's see if we can get it on that thing. Oh,
not too bad.
Not too bad. That was a good one. All right, let's pour it up.
Thanks, sir.
Yep. Don't be shy. As a show guest, you're welcome to drink all that you would like. Spilt a little. Let's throw this back over here.
Smells good.
Yeah, it does smell nice.
Absolutely.
Getting
light, not too harsh.
Getting a general, Kentucky bourbon, vanilla, maybe a little bit of butterscotch. But what I'm also picking up is I'm picking up some tannins from the oak aging. So this is a non-age stated product,
right?
And I'm sure we could do some research to figure out how old the barrels were that went into it. I think that Kentucky Owl's pretty good about disclosing like percentages and stuff. I should have done more research before we opened this, but I was just too excited. So
yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I'm picking up a little bit of that oak structure, which often denotes that there's going to be some good leather and chocolate on the finish. So let's see.
I don't taste any chocolate. I don't know about leather either.
And keep in mind, everyone's palate's different. Mm-hmm. There is no right or wrong answer. But for me, I'm getting all the vanilla on the front end. The mid palate and the finish are those profiles that I really like.
Yeah.
Of the butterscotch, not really getting cinnamon, but I am getting chocolate. I am getting sweet pipe tobacco.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, I used to go to the mall and hang out. I think we all did. Yeah. I don't know if kids do that these days, since they have the newfangled.
I avoid the mall, so I don't know if they're there or not.
But I always would go into the cigar shop, and I'd never smoked.
Yeah.
And I would just smell all the pipe tobacco. So I guess I've been in training to drink whiskey my whole life. And I didn't start drinking until I was like 28.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah. It reminds me a little bit of some of the higher aged Four Roses single barrels that I've had, because there is a little bit of that chocolate pudding flavor in there that I sometimes get on Four Roses. But it is a bright flavor, and it's not tannic on the finish at all.
No.
And so, I know a lot of people that are huge like oak fans. This may be a little light for them.
Yeah.
But this is an A+ for me.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, easy drinker. I mean, if you wanted something just for every day, you don't like the harsh stuff. I think anyone would like this.
Yeah, it's tasty. So if you get a chance, I would not hesitate to pick up a bottle. So let's talk a little bit about your history in bourbon.
Yeah.
So I know when we first met, you were just a casual drinker.
Yeah. It's funny. I remember it. We were just down the street here at a little block party right here by the pool. Mm-hmm. And I think it was the first time I met you. And we were both drinking whiskey. I was drinking Crown Black, and you were like, it's not quite what I'm drinking, but, but, you introduced me to some of the stuff. I think I had Eagle Rare right here on your pool table one day, and I was like,
America. Awesome. We drink American whiskey. Right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Anyway.
So
Eagle Rare was your first.
I think that was the first one.
Yeah. And then Hooked. That's
absolutely.
Good. So when we first met, you were not married.
No.
You are now. Mm-hmm. Your girlfriend was pregnant.
Yes.
Or fiance, you are probably engaged at that point. How much does your wife hate me? Because you've gone bananas.
Yeah, every day it's, another bottle. Aren't you going to finish one that you've already opened? It's like, no, why would I do that?
This is Randy Sullivan with RSHST Capital, LLC, and the host of Bourbon Real Talk. Producing a podcast is time-consuming and expensive, and Bourbon Real Talk wants to maintain its integrity by not promoting products or services that it doesn't believe in. For this reason, I have opted to have my funding company sponsor this program. RSHST Capital is the first of its kind funding company that provides pay-at-close funding to home sellers out of their equity. If you have a home to sell, need money for renovations or repairs to maximize your profit, money to stop pending foreclosure or to keep your mortgage current, or cash for really anything, then look into RSHST Capital. This program is simple. We verify that you have equity, approve you for a funding amount. You have access to that cash at practically a moment's notice for only a nominal fee. This program is raising sellers cash after closing by tens of thousands of dollars, stopping foreclosures and changing people's financial future. You pick your real estate agent, your contractor, and have access to actual cash or contracting expenses with zero upfront cost. This is a nationwide program. So if you have any curiosity about how it works, please look us up at rshstcapital.com, Facebook, or just give us a call at 214-385-9101.
No, why would I do that? I mean, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So, but no, I think she finds it funny. I mean, she's a wine drinker, so she likes to experiment with those, try different stuff. So, I mean, she sees this and she likes to try them too. There's been a couple that she's actually liked, and then there's been a bunch of them where she's like, that's just too harsh for me. That's too strong. I can't do that. But she likes some finished stuff. She likes some like rum finished, like the Jefferson's rum she liked.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She likes my Angel's Envy
Envy
Rye.
Rye, yeah, also rum finished.
That tastes like what, apple pie or something like that. And so of course she loved that.
Creme brulee. I tell people that if a wife comes over with a husband and we're drinking whiskey, and she's like, oh, I just can't drink whiskey, I'll always get out the Angel's Envy Rye, give her a small amount, and if she doesn't like it, I'm like, I can't help you.
There's nothing,
right?
I can
There's
do
nothing
for
I
you.
can do for you, right? So I tell people it tastes exactly the way a Snickerdoodle cookie tastes.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
Like all that cinnamon and sugar cookie that it's like a confection explosion basically.
Yeah.
So you've gotten pretty deep into bourbon. You're a fireman. Are any of your fellow firemen into whiskey as well?
Yeah, there's a couple of them. I've talked to a couple of guys I work with who are pretty interested in it, and they have the same struggles I do with buying too much or not finding what they want. So yeah, it definitely goes around. There's either a beer drinker or a whiskey drinker. So
yeah, but no drinking around the firehouse, I'm guessing.
No, I think they cut that out a long time ago.
Yeah, probably a while back ago.
Yeah.
Any smokers around?
No, we can't smoke.
Yeah, okay.
So we sign our life away when we get hired. It's just like, hey, I'll never use a tobacco product on or off shift. So I mean, I don't know what guys do outside of work, but I was never a smoker or anything like that, so it just never has bothered me.
Yeah. I think that might be shocking for the average person. So as a fireman, what are some elements of being a fireman that you think the general public doesn't know? Like it's shocking to me that you're not even allowed to use tobacco products, right?
Yeah. We don't use tobacco products at all. Gosh, what would be shocking to the public? I think a lot of people think of us as like, things don't bother us and some of the stuff we see doesn't bother us. But I mean, we have our own ways of dealing with things. Sometimes everyone deals with things a little differently, but some of the stuff we see definitely bothers us. And we're just glad that other people don't have to see that. We've kind of got conditioned to it and we prepare ourselves to see stuff and experience things. But I think that's one thing. A lot of people are like, oh, you're so brave. I'm like, no, I'm really scared sometimes. Like, there's just, sometimes there's, if there's something that we can do to help someone, like, helping them outweighs, being scared. So kind of just jump in and do it.
Sure. And so one of the things that I've observed is when you we went to a fire station not too long ago, and I was shocked at, I guess, as a kid growing up, firemen just seemed like uniform, I guess, like, but there were 20-year-old kids that were there bunking next to a 48-year-old man, and I mean truly living their lives together, cooking their meals together. What's y'all's schedule look like? Y'all are
we live together. We're there 24 hours, the same guys. We get to see other crews throughout the day, whether depending on who we're responding with and what area we're going to, and then we're off for 48 hours, and we hang out outside of work too. So I mean, throughout the year we spend just as much time with each other as we do our families.
Mm-hmm.
So we get really close. We get close to their family becomes family. But yeah, I mean, we're together all the time.
Gotcha. Yeah, I could see. Do you think that partly that the strongness of that bond is because of the kind of the shit that y'all go through together?
We depend on each other a lot.
By the way, you're allowed to cuss. This
No.
is an explicit podcast.
I'm gonna keep it clean in case my kids watch it.
Yeah, I gotcha.
No, we yeah, I mean, we train, we do everything together. Whether it's, you know, if a guy doesn't like to cook, it's like, hey, he'll clean and set the table, stuff like that. So everything's kind of a team, you know, building of what we do. So, but yeah, we stay close from calls and, you know, of the training we do. So
what's one of the more common things that you guys get called out for?
The most common thing we do 100% is just falls, people that fall, elderly people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could probably 3 times yesterday we went and just helped someone get up off the ground.
Wow.
So that's really, it's funny. That's most of what we do. A lot of times people aren't hurt. We help them up and, you know, just check them, make sure everything's okay. They're not in any pain, give them a second to kind of gather themselves, find out why they fell.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes, you know, it could be, you know, related to some type of medical problem they have going on that they didn't know.
Right.
But most of the time it's just a trip and fall, something like that, slip.
So what's one of the more traumatic type situations that you guys get called out to?
Anything with children. That usually will, it's a different reaction from the guys when you're dealing with kids.
Mm-hmm.
But we all rally, you know,
yeah.
Whenever we find out, hey, this crew went and, you know, had a child, something happened, you know, we usually take them out outside of work, hang out with them, see how they're doing, talk to them about it, that kind of stuff.
Right.
So that's really the hardest thing we do.
Mm-hmm.
Scariest thing is probably just being on the highway. At least in my opinion, I don't like being on the highway. Just people are
car
texting and
yeah,
you know, they're filming us as they go by 50 miles an hour. It's just scary.
Wow.
I'm out on that.
Yeah.
I stay really close to the rig.
So when I did a tour of the fire station, and one of the things that I thought was so interesting that I never really thought of is that firemen really like to destroy shit.
Yeah.
Y'all have a ton of destructive tools that are meant to create maximum damage.
Yeah.
In the minimal amount of time. So tell me about that.
That's fun. You know, everyone likes DIY shows, and they always make fun of like, hey, it's demo day. Well, we get to do that stuff all the time. Whether it's like cutting up cars, which you don't see on TV, breaking glass, breaking through doors. We have these humongous metal doors that we can make as hard or as easy as we want to force through. And we just try to challenge each other. You know, we'll do an exercise. We're like, hey, we're going to blindfold you this time. I want you to get through this door. Or, you know, we're going to make this so hard that it's going to take 2 of you and a couple tools to open this door. And that's a lot of fun. Yeah. That's actually, forcing doors is one of my favorite things to do. And it just challenges you. It whips you quick.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're got all this stuff on. You're about 80 pounds heavier than you usually are. You're hot. And then you get to this door and it just whips your ass. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, oh crap, now I got to go up the stairs. And then now I got to carry this stuff over here and I got to crawl around here and search or something, you know? But that's a lot of fun. Cutting cars is fun. Getting up on the roof, houses. We don't get to do much. But that's a lot of fun too. Chainsaws. I like, you know, small engines and stuff. So
yeah,
it's fun to me.
So how often do you guys deal with actual fires? I mean, you're called firemen, but that's actually a pretty small percentage of what you deal with.
We're about, I mean, every city's going to be a little bit different. You know, bigger cities are going to fight more fire. We're probably, I'd say 15% of what we do is maybe fires. Mm-hmm. Whether that's a car fire, dumpster fire, house fire. But we get a lot of kitchen fires and stuff like that that start, you know, we just recently had a fence fire from a grill. Mm-hmm. So we see a lot of that stuff, but it really is a small portion of what we do. But most of what we do is going to be medical stuff.
Gotcha.
So
is that one of the things that kind of keeps you up at night, is the thought of being in a firefighting situation? Or is it more along the lines of the calls where you're dealing with, you know, somebody that's injured or whatnot?
Mostly just the surprise, because you don't know when it's going to come and when it's not.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have, random Mondays where we just run nonstop, and then all of a sudden it'll be a Friday night and you're like, okay, it's payday. Everyone's going out tonight. We got to cover 35. Everyone's going to be coming back from Dallas around 2 a.m. and we'll get nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tough because you never get like a peaceful sleep, because you always have that, I guess, like back of your mind, like, hey, this tones can go off any minute and we got to go pick someone up, or we got to go to a fire, car accident. You just never know. Every call is a surprise.
This is Randy Sullivan with the Randall Sullivan Home Selling Team and the host of Bourbon Real Talk. Producing a podcast is time-consuming and expensive, and Bourbon Real Talk wants to maintain its integrity by not promoting products and services that it doesn't believe in. For this reason, I've opted to have my real estate team sponsor this program. The Randall Sullivan Home Selling Team has operated since 2008. We've sold almost 500 homes. We have proprietary programs that make a massive difference to the outcome of our clients, and we service the entire North Texas area. If you live in North Texas and you need to buy or sell a home, please give us a chance to explain how our services could benefit you. We understand that not all of our listeners live in North Texas. We also know that not all real estate agents are created equal. If you need a real estate agent outside of North Texas, the Randall Sullivan Home Selling Team has access to tools to help you find a highly qualified agent in your area. The service is free for you, and we stick around through the end of the process to help you with your transaction, even when we're not your agent. If you have a real estate transaction in your future, please reach out to us at randallsullivanteam.com, Facebook, Instagram, or just give us a call at 214-385-9101.
Someone up, or we got to go to a fire, car accident. You just never know. Every call is a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
None of them, not a single one is the same. So that's always on your mind throughout the day, because my wife picks on me all the time. She's like, oh, what'd you do today? Did you get a nap? I'm like, no, I didn't take a nap. Like, why does everyone think that's all we do? Like, I can't sleep up here.
Right.
So, yeah.
So one of my, I knew a fireman. I won't say what city he worked for, because what I'm about to say is definitely illegal.
Okay.
But he was in, apparently there are some areas where they have designated fire stations that deal with like a higher level of issue.
Yeah.
And so he was part of the fire station that was responsible for like suicide jumpers and really major accidents and things like that. And so he saw a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And, when there was, gunshot victims and things. And he told a story about he got called out and there was a drug addict that had robbed an old lady and just really beat the shit out of her.
Mm-hmm.
And the police were there and they were called in to check the old lady, and they ended up having to take her to the hospital. And the police were like, hey, we're going to call you when we find the guy, because we'll need your help.
Sure.
And what they meant is
you're going to court.
They won't be able to do what they need to do to the guy.
Yeah.
But apparently it's easier to get away with shit in an ambulance or something. And he told me this story about how when they finally caught the guy, they put him in the back of the ambulance and they beat the shit out of him with saline bags.
Oh, wow.
And he said, yeah, man, you can really knock the shit out of somebody with a saline bag and it doesn't leave a bruise like if you punch them with your fist.
Yeah.
And I'm like, y'all have a procedure for this? So without getting anybody in trouble or telling on yourself, what's the craziest fireman story that you've heard?
That I've heard or experienced?
I'm going to say heard, because if it's experienced and it turns out to be illegal, you shouldn't be on it.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. We don't know who's going to listen to this.
I don't want to go off anything that I've heard from where I am, from like the old timers and what they used to do, because it's pretty wild, some of the stories you hear.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, I know. I actually have a friend that works in Dallas who, the scariest thing he told me was they went on a gunshot.
Mm-hmm.
Found the guy. He had been shot, but he was basically stable at that point. They put some dressings on him and stuff like that, and they were ready to transport. And like a guy came up to him at the back of the box and they're like, "Hey, that's my friend. Is he going to be okay?" And they were like, "Yeah, I think he's going to be okay. We're going to run up to the hospital. We got to get out of here." And then the guy actually pulled out a gun and shot him 2 more times, like right there, point blank, in between the two medics in the back of the ambulance. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what did you think, you know? And he's like, well, first you can't hear anything, you know, because that gunshot was right next to them.
Right.
And he's like, I was freaked out, had no idea what was going to happen. I didn't know if I was going to get shot next. I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's just wild.
Yeah.
But I hear crazy stories all the time. So
hit us with some more.
Oh my gosh. I wish you would have prepared me so I could have thought about some of the ones I've heard.
Well, we'll switch subjects and see if something else comes to your mind. We'll come back to the story. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is that women like firemen.
Oh, yeah?
A lot. And so I just wanted to hear from a fireman's perspective, because my wife told me this story where, you know, and I won't say what city it was, but she had gone to like a women's meeting, and the fire chief had come in to do some presentation about fire safety. And the fire chief was not in particularly good shape. He was not particularly young. He wasn't particularly tall. He wasn't particularly handsome. And many of the women that were involved in this women's organization were all that plus a bag of potato chips, and they were all fawning all over this guy because he was a fireman. And my wife came home, she told me about it, and I was like, really? And she was like, yeah, like I literally saw like this beautiful done up woman showing her cell phone to one of the other beautiful done up women, bragging that she had the fire chief's personal cell phone number and could call him when she needed help. And I was like, what? Like, what? Like, just because he's a fireman?
That's
like,
funny.
Is that how that works?
That's pretty funny.
And so do you have any stories, not necessarily about yourself, but like of, you know, younger firemen, single, they first become firemen? Do you see like dudes go crazy and use that to their advantage?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I got hired with 12 guys, and my wife and I were together, not married at that point, but we had been together for like 5 years before that.
Right.
And I think there was only one single guy. So we would just rally around him when we went out. We were just like, we're living through you, man. Like, you got to get this done. And so, you know, we would just kind of like, you know, throw him out there into the wild and be like, this is all you. We'll wingman for you, you know. And it is funny just to go out there. And of course, I mean, if you met a fireman and they're a single fireman, that's like one of the first things they drop as soon as they go out. And they're like, you know, having some drinks and talking to some, you know, women. They're just like, oh yeah, I'm a fireman. No big deal.
No big deal. It's no big deal, ladies. If you need rescuing, I'm here.
So it is pretty funny. And, you know, we've had instances, you know, older women, younger women, that it's pretty funny.
Well, I'd imagine you get called out and there's drunk people. So I could imagine drunk women. Ooh, the firemen.
Yeah. There's a couple local bars we have to go into. It's kind of funny, and just the interaction with the people that are in there. And so sometimes it's really where we get hit on the most is going to be at like retirement places. Really? And the women are just like, you know, they don't care.
They got none to
lose. Just going to throw it out there and see if anyone, you know, takes the bait. It's pretty funny when that happens.
What would be funny is if you had like one dude that was part of the crew and he's like, yeah, I'm just into old chicks.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah. Like, we usually just throw the rookie out there. It's like, oh yeah, hey, right here.
Yeah. Get him, ladies.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. So any other stories come to mind?
Oh, just crazy stories, fun stories, you know? I mean, no. I mean, some of the exciting stuff. I love seeing like when you deliver a baby or something like that. Mm-hmm. Just this last year, I swung to a station I hadn't worked at probably in 3 years. Mm-hmm. And we save all of our postcards. People bring us stuff and, you know, hey, Merry Christmas. You helped us with this. This is our family. Well, there was one that I'd never seen, and it was like a 3-year-old kid. And it was like, hey, this is our daughter. We want to thank, you know, and it listed, you know, Scott, Marcus, Billy, Nick, and, you know, Michael, like, thank you so much for delivering our baby and stuff like that. And I was just like, I remember that. Like, that's so cool. Look how big this kid is now, you know?
Yeah.
And that's always cool. It's kind of cool getting to see people and, you know, see people after they've gone through traumatic stuff, seeing with their family and seeing, you know, happy again. That's always fun.
Right.
It makes it all worth, you know, what you're doing and, you know, that kind of stuff's fun.
Well, the good stories are probably the thing that keep you guys going. I'm sure you guys get called out a lot, you know, after suicides and, you know, fatal car accidents and, you know, things like that. And that stuff's got to weigh heavily on you. So it's good that you guys get some of that good positive feedback as well.
Oh yeah.
And maybe that's why the women in society give you guys just carte blanche, because somehow subconsciously we all know that. But when I think about what you guys do, I think about you guys being in fires, but I guess intuitively I understand that y'all don't do that all the time.
Yeah.
Especially if you work in a city that's like, where we live, Prosper, they probably don't deal with a lot of fires because almost all the structures are new and current fire code and all that stuff. So unless there's lightning strike or something.
Yeah. And we see a lot of that.
Yeah.
So.
But you work in
Carrollton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's older homes there.
Yeah.
And something else I hadn't really considered is the height of the buildings in an area will affect what training and equipment the local firemen have to have.
Yeah.
And so
what we do is a little different than like what Addison does.
Yeah.
They've got some bigger buildings, whereas we don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
So we focus more on like, hey, we got single story homes, we got some 2-story homes. So it's like we got to be able to throw ladders, we got to be able to take windows, search rooms, stuff like that, and just advance hose lines through regular homes. So we're not worried about like high-rise packs, which we train on that. We have that. We help them when they have calls, but it's not much of what we do.
Right.
So.
Yeah, when we did the tour of the fire station here, Prosper just got its first building that's above 2 stories, and so they were kind of talking about some of the new training that they had, some different equipment they had to get. And I thought, man, that's if you're like in charge of development for a city, there's so much stuff to consider.
Yeah.
When you're approving some permit for a new building, like now you've got to buy equipment and train firemen for stuff that they aren't currently doing. I mean it's pretty far reaching. So is there anything else that you feel like people need to know about the role as a fireman?
Anything else they should know about it? I mean, I would say anyone who's interested in it, look into it. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people think, oh, you just got to be, big and strong and brave to do this. But I mean, we've hired all sorts of people from different backgrounds and stuff like that, male, female, and everybody has a place on the team, and we all work together. So, I mean, if you just want something that's exciting, different every day, you're never going to do the same thing. It's such a fun career. It's rewarding. And just the fellowship that you get from it is, it's just awesome. I love it. Like, I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
So do you think that draw that your personality has towards that fellowship, do you find any of that in the bourbon community?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like just hanging out with you guys and, just talking to you. We joke around the same way that we do at work. We rag on each other, give each other a hard time. And then, but at the end of the day, like we're buds.
Right.
And, you're just enjoying what we do at work, and whereas we're just enjoying what we love in, bourbon. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we'll let that be the end. We'll wrap it up. For those of you who are interested in getting more information about me in particular, you can go to our Instagram at Bourbon Real Talk. You can go to our Facebook page that is also Bourbon Real Talk. So Facebook.com/Bourbon Real Talk. You can go to our website, bourbonrealtalk.com. Let's see, what else do we got? We would love it if you would subscribe to iTunes, to our podcast, and if you'd give us a review, because those reviews help to get us higher up in the rankings so that more people will participate. So if you like this show, sorry, I've got to look at the notes because, like I said, I'm kind of new at this. Also on the website, there's an opportunity for you to give us some show suggestions. So the purpose of this is just to create connections and to get to know people and their real story that maybe you wouldn't otherwise hear. So if you or maybe a loved one or a friend has a story that you think would be good for the public to hear, we'd love to hear about those show suggestions and any guest recommendations you have. And so you really don't have anything that you're promoting.
So no,
I was
just here to have fun.
Just here to have fun and drink some whiskey. So there's not really a way to get in contact with Billy unless you wanted to join Someone Say Whiskey, and he's
I'm there.
Pretty active in that club. So just want to say thanks for being on, and
thanks for having me.
Would love to thank the audience as well for getting on, and we hope to bring you a whole lot more high quality content. So talk to you guys soon.